groups. And I'm just going to start recording the session for people who aren't going to join here. But just giving you background, when we started one of our Facebook groups, I noticed that there were a lot of great questions about how to use Facebook, how to use Twitter, email marketing. Some of them are great beginner questions, and also some of the others were very advanced. And what I found is people maybe didn't have an outlet or a place that they could go to and actually ask questions and really kind of query about some of the things that come up in day-to-day marketing. So whether you're a vegan blogger, whether you own your own business, whether your own personality, maybe you actually are an author, or you're coming out with a cookbook, for example, and you're really kind of branding or trying to get your messaging out there. And if you're finding that you have questions, or you're finding that things are coming up along the way that are kind of like speed bumps in the process, what we can do in these sessions is try to address those questions and really make sure that we remove those speed bumps so you can keep rolling along. This is the first time we've done this session, so it's pretty exciting, or a great opportunity for us to kind of test out new technology as a way that people can watch these videos, ask questions, and interact with us. So we're going to be testing out this format. I'd love after this session, send us feedback or post it on this page, because it'll be a great opportunity and great way for us to know if we should continue using this technology or doing these in this really kind of one-on-one or way that we can interact with you. Traditionally, we do actually webinars really almost every other week. And the reason we do those webinars is we are able to present questions, present ideas, and so forth. But what we find is maybe these one-on-one, or really I should say live Q&A chats, might be interesting for a different crowd. So please let us know after this. So I think we've gotten all the logistics out of the way. I am going to be recording these sessions, so if there's anything that you'd like to visit afterwards, or you have something that maybe you wanted to just go over one more time, we will have the recorded sessions available here on the page, as well as we'll upload these to our YouTube channel, so you'll be able to access everything there. I see that we're getting a good amount of viewers and people coming in, but I haven't seen any questions come in yet. So don't be shy. Once again, if you really have a question or something you'd like me to address, post it right below the image where it says Facebook, and all you have to do is type in your question there, and I'll be able to view them. I'm also going to just scoot over, because we also have another stream where questions can come in, and I'm just going to be viewing that right now to see if we have any questions coming in there. Just coming in straight from Ustream. So if you are in Ustream, feel free to post your questions there. So while maybe everyone's getting started and thinking about your questions and pulling those together, what I'd like to do is maybe start with some of the offline questions that I've received in advance. So let's start with some of those questions. The big question I always get about from people is not just what's the difference between, and let's talk about, I guess, Facebook marketing. That's maybe where we'll start, especially where we are today. One thing that has come up kind of with the Facebook marketing is not just questions about the difference between profiles and also between pages, but there's a lot of questions about how do I leverage those pages? How do I actually promote a Facebook page, which often may be something that you're using because you have a blog, because you actually have a cookbook or something like that, versus your profile. And I see that 2 questions came in, so I'll address those in one minute. But the one thing that comes up about these pages that people have created, and when I say a page, this is something that's separate than your profiles. It's not where you're maybe posting, your baby pictures, or you're posting pictures of your cousins or a birthday party. This is where you're actually putting out your image. This is where you're actually promoting your business, or promoting something more of in a professional light. And on these pages, the reason that they're different, or the content that would be different, is that they should be about supporting your brand, number one, and number two, they should be about your audience. I think a lot of times people forget that your friends and family in your profile are your friends and family. A lot of them want to know what you did for the weekend, what you ate. They really want that personal side of things. But people that are maybe following you, if you're a cookbook author, they'd love to hear about maybe events that you're going to be at, any new recipes that you're coming out with. So look to make sure your content is actually relevant to the actual audience. You should not be cross-promoting exactly what's in your profile as what's on your page. You really want to make sure that these are things that are specific to the brand, to the actual audience that you're talking to. And by making that difference and ensuring that you're I would say messaging is in line with that will really make a big difference. So that was one question I had offline. I hope that helps. I know that person said they're going to be trying to attend, so hopefully that helps. I see that we had 2 other questions posted in the meantime. So I see one here about how to find out how to get the viewers to your blog. All right, so let's start with that one. I'll start with Carrie's question, and then Ashley, I'll come back to yours. So starting off with how to get viewers to your blog, there's probably 3 main ways to get viewers to your blog. Number 1 is subscribers. So if you get someone who comes to your blog, try to get them to subscribe to your blog. I mean, the first time they've come, they probably are interested in content, they probably interacted with you in some way, but make sure that you have a feature or a way they can actually subscribe. There are 2 ways that people can subscribe to your blog. You can actually have them subscribe to your feed, which is traditionally those like orange little buttons that have like little lines on top of them, kind of look like radio lines or like a radio wave is going out. Make sure that you have something like that very visible on your blog. The best place to have it is on the top right hand side of the page. And the reason being is people have been kind of conditioned to learn that the most important information is on the top right hand side of a page. That's why you see a lot of times a lot of log in, log out features are always on the top right. That's because people have really just gotten used to looking there for the most relevant and important information. So put those feeds there. Another way to get people to subscribe is maybe by using a newsletter. A lot of people are a little bit afraid of starting a newsletter because the concern is, well, how am I going to keep it up? How do I create content for it? And if you're already doing a blog and you already have the content coming out, all you have to do is get people to subscribe to the blog, and most of your email marketing systems will have a feature where you can do an RSS feed into the actual newsletter. So if that newsletter comes out once a week, what you can program it to do is to post the latest, or really the last 3 blog posts in the email that goes out to your subscribers. So that's a way that you're getting the content out to people who may be busy, maybe forgot to come back to your blog and so forth, but by getting them subscribed to that newsletter, you're still pushing that content to them. Because a lot of times we forget, people are busy, people are getting caught up in their lives. So the more we can do to push it to them, and by pushing it to email, which is something that everyone checks, not only every day, but in many times throughout the day, it's a great way to get it right in front of them. And there's some great tools like MailChimp that will actually offer free services. So if you have less than, I believe it's 1,000 subscribers, it's actually free. So you can set something up like that at a very low cost to you. Another way to actually drive traffic is social media. Social media is amazing if you have the followers. I know a lot of people are starting out and you may only have 50 or 25 followers, or a few people who have liked your page. So it's very difficult to drive that traffic to your site because you don't have maybe that audience. But what I always ask people to do or tell people to do is cross promote. Reach out to someone. If you've interacted with someone on a blog, if you've written an article about someone on your blog, ask them to actually share that article out to their audience. Ask them to actually tweet it out to their audience. And in some cases, as you build rapport with these individuals, ask them if they would share or talk about your blog, on their website, or on their Twitter account. Everyone's always looking for good content. And you'd be amazed how many people, if you just reach out to them and say, would you please share, would be willing to do that. We do that for a lot of people. So if there is some content or maybe some information that you'd like us to share, reach out to us and send us a link, because we love to get that information out and we love to learn about new blogs. So those are probably one of the 3 best ways to drive traffic. Other than, as they always say, create amazing content. You really need content that's eye-catching, and you need content that makes people keep coming back. But if you're looking for things that just drive traffic, I would test those things out and see how they go. I hope that answers your question. If you have a follow-up question, please post it. I see there's another question in here about best practice in marketing, some of the main points, as well as how to cross-promote your page and your personal profile. We'll start with the personal profile, and then I'll talk about some of the best practices. So when we talk about cross-promoting, I always say be very careful about cross-promoting, because when you think of your personal profile, it really should be used for personal purposes. And we're talking about right now Facebook. The number one reason is Facebook designs it that way. Facebook really wants your personal profile to be personal. So since these are Facebook accounts and they own all of these accounts, at any point in time, Facebook can say you're in violation of our rules and regulations and they could shut down your account. Now, I don't mean that to be scary. I don't mean that to sound like, oh my goodness, Big Brother's watching. I mean that to say, why not use the tools the way they're designed? Because the other reason is Facebook continues to come out with more and more features that are profile specific and features that are page specific. So as they keep coming out with those page benefits, you want to make sure you're utilizing them. Now, when I think about cross-promoting, a lot of times where I see people using it, or where the best practice is when people are trying to migrate people from a profile over to a page and talking about on their profile the benefits or the reason of going to their page. Whether you have an e-commerce store or maybe you're selling a specific product, so what you might be doing is offering free recipes, you may be offering discounts to people who have liked your page, you may be having special events for people who like those pages. So those are reasons why are asking someone to go from your personal profile over to your page. But as a general rule, you really should be posting separate and different content on those two different pages. And the same thing goes, I've talked about this before, I talked about this during our during the Vegan Blogger Conference, is that your content on Twitter, your content on Facebook, your content on LinkedIn, and even some of your content for some purposes on YouTube should be different content. You want to give people a reason for them to subscribe to all these different channels and access your different content in different places. So I really highly recommend that you do that, okay? So hopefully that answers that question. If you have a follow-up question, please post it. Same thing, Carrie, if you have a follow-up question, please feel free to post it. The other thing that was mentioned here is about just some of the best practices when it comes to vegan marketing. And I think this is a great question, and maybe I just get excited about these types of questions because I just love what people are doing and how people are promoting themselves out there in the market. And really about how people are really taking kind of, especially when you think about social media and blogging, and how they're kind of making that extra step to connect with people. I think a lot of times people make the mistake and see these as purely marketing tools, as purely maybe the way we used to look at things like direct mail in the past, where you put together a package, you had it designed a certain way, you were trying to get them opened, and you were looking at response rates. When we're looking at a lot of these social tools like Facebook, Twitter, blogging, YouTube, what we're really trying to do is drive engagement. You're trying to drive loyalty. While we all have businesses, and yes, we got to keep the light bills on and all that good stuff, what we really want to do is you're really trying to get people to engage in what you have to offer. And some of that has to do with providing them information, advice, and sometimes it's answering questions. So when I think of maybe, we'll see how we go. Maybe I'll kind of list out maybe 4 or 5 things that I see people are doing well that I think is very important. Number one thing that I see that people are doing well, which I think is really important, is let's use an example in Facebook. I see a lot of people who are using the Facebook function, which is called using Facebook as a page. What that means is if you actually have a page, say for example like our Vegan Mainstream page, and I'd like to go around Facebook commenting, interacting with people, but I don't want it to say Stephanie Redcross because I'm really doing it on behalf of Vegan Mainstream. I go into Facebook, and that top right corner is a little drop down arrow, and you click on there and you'll see an option that says use Facebook as a page. It'll pop up with all the pages that you're an admin on, and then you click that switch button. When you click switch, you can use it as if you were a regular profile, which means you can like pages, you can leave comments, you can create events, you can pretty much do everything that you were able to do with your personal profile. And what's great about this is it gives you an opportunity to start interacting with others. I think a lot of times when we think about marketing and we think about Facebook, we keep thinking about ourselves and always interacting on our own page, but it's so important that you reach out and you jump on other people's pages. It's so important that you comment on other people's blogs and their posts and so forth, because aren't we looking for the same things for us? We want people to interact with us. So take that same step and interact with others. If someone has a cute picture, let them know you thought it was cute. If you thought it was interesting, share it on your page, share it on your profile. If you'd like to see more or more images, more photos, more videos, let those people know. And what I've seen is there's a lot of great sites. A lot of great companies have really taken that kind of to the next level. One good example is Earth Cafe. They actually do the raw cheesecakes. They actually go around and post on a lot of different sites. And what they'll do is they not only post comments, but a lot of times they'll post inspirational thoughts. And what I like about that is it's not a sales promotion. It's not them trying to say, buy my product. What they're trying to do is just inspire people. They're just trying to put out some information to maybe make someone smile or make someone have a better day. And when you're doing that for individuals, that's something where you're giving back. And it's so important how much you're more on the giving side of this exchange, I guess you said, or relationship. Because when you're on that giving side, what happens is it's much easier for others to give to you because they're seeing, and you're really almost leading by example by actually commenting, responding, inspiring others, and so forth. So I think that's one really great thing that I'm seeing on Facebook. Another thing that's a great trend that you see, and Veg News did a lot of this as well, are Twitter chats. Twitter chats are great. They're similar to what we're doing here, where they're kind of live and instant. But what's amazing about Twitter chats is it allows people to actually kind of join like a chat room. And you can have multiple people as speakers and kind of presenters, and people can post questions at the same time. Now, the challenge with Twitter chats is Twitter moves fast, so you really have to work on your stamina and your speed on responding. And sometimes it's important to maybe have someone behind the scenes that helps you moderate or come up with questions or maybe even consolidate some of these questions. So that's one thing I would be careful about. But what's great about Twitter chats is it really helps you have some one-on-one dialogue, and maybe I shouldn't say one-on-one dialogue, but maybe group dialogue about a specific topic, about a specific issue, or really just kind of engage. So think about it. If you're working maybe for a nonprofit and you guys are going to be hosting an event, or you're looking for speakers, you could do a Twitter chat and actually ask people for recommendations on speakers. You could maybe have some of the speakers or people who are going to be at your event on the Twitter chat so people can engage with them and talk with them in advance, which can drive some awareness about your cause and maybe your fundraising activity. If maybe you're a blogger, for example, maybe you'll host one, or maybe with a couple other bloggers, you may host it about a topic, whether it's about vegan food, whether it's about vegan fashion, which is a really great topic nowadays. Maybe you get a couple bloggers together with yourself and you host a Twitter chat that talks about what's the latest and greatest, what are the changes, what are the new products that are coming out, and things that are different that maybe weren't available a year ago or 2 years ago. Or maybe talk about some of the pitfalls, where someone thinks they're getting a vegan product and they find that the glue that's being used in that product is still being made from animals. Those are really great opportunities to kind of take this social media buzz that's happening and take it to that next level. The other thing that I see that I really think is working well is how much people are using multiple mediums to interact with people. You even take an example like we're doing today here, like streaming live. But really what I was talking about is using things like YouTube. So even though you have a blog or maybe you're on social media, the idea is still cutting and doing videos, still interacting and creating videos, whether they're on the fly, whether you went to like the recent maybe Veg Fest in DC and you actually did some videos or interviewed people at the booth, or maybe just walked people around and gave them an overview of the event, and then posting that content on your blog, posting that content on your Facebook and Twitter account. It's great ways of getting people information in a different medium, even though you're using the same marketing tools. And the same thing applies when you actually have a product. Say, for example, you have a restaurant. What you may do is you may interview your chef. You may do a special about the ingredients that you use. If maybe you have a special of the day, maybe every day or every morning, you actually do a video that talks about the special of the day. There's this great restaurant that I used to love in San Diego that was called Spread. It was vegan and vegetarian, but what they did is they did everything fresh off the menu. So what was great about that is it was based on what they purchased in the farmer's market that day. So the menus would vary, the taste would just be just simply just awesome. It's probably the best word to describe it. But what was great about that, or it created an opportunity for them, is to do something like I was talking about, because they could go to the local farmer's market, do a video about what they picked up, come back and actually do a special and say these are the ingredients and show an image of the plate and then upload that. Could you imagine if you were able, especially if you're, dine out a lot, or you're taking people out for events, or maybe you're entertaining for guests or for business, and you're able to sign on someone's Facebook page or on their blog, especially a company or a restaurant's site, and actually see what is the special of the day and what it looks like and how they made it and so forth. So it's another way to kind of make things interactive and also unique specifically for your restaurant, for your business, and so forth. And then maybe the last thing that I've seen that people are doing that I think is pretty interesting is around photos. I know a lot of people take photos, but what a lot of people are starting to do now is really leverage their phones. So whether it's an iPhone or Android, a lot of people are using an application called Instagram. And what's great about that is it does these kind of like hues and colors and really kind of gives you a little bit of a special effect with these photos that you're taking. And what's fun about that is not only do people kind of see what's going on and kind of action by action plays of maybe things that you're doing, people you're interacting with, or maybe even food products that are new to in your grocery store. Especially, I know I get excited when I find a new vegan product in my local grocery store. But by using Instagram, what's great about it is it kind of will give your images a different look and feel. So when you start to really maybe be an amateur photographer like someone like myself, it starts to give it more of a professional polish and more of a professional feel, which really helps in taking your photos kind of to that next level without having to, get a old school, 35 millimeter camera out and so forth. And what I've seen is a lot of people are posting those on all the social media outlets, as well as they're using them on their websites. They're using them as intro images. They're using them as in photo galleries. They're using them in great tools like Flickr. And we haven't spent a lot of time today talking about that as well. And it's just a great way to kind of take a standard tool like sharing photos and take it to that next level. And that's something I've seen a lot of people do. It was really a great tool that was even used at the Blogger Conference recently in Portland, and I'd highly recommend it as you're moving forward. So just looking at the time, we're probably about at 9:24. So we've been online a little bit for a while. I've been trying to answer some of the questions here. It looks like I've gotten most of them on Facebook. I'm just going to jump over to Ustream just to make sure I didn't miss any questions there so far. But please, if you have any other questions, these sessions are really designed for you guys. So please let me know what else you'd like to talk about. I initially had planned these sessions for about 30 minutes because I thought it'd be a good opportunity for us to just interact and chat and so forth. And I know they're a little bit late for the folks on the West Coast. I'm sorry, excuse me, on the East Coast. But if we do need more time, if you guys want to hang on again, I hang on a little bit longer, I definitely can do that. I just ask if you could, post your questions and I will address them. And I guess one quick thing while we're waiting for people to post questions, what we're also going to do in addition to these live sessions, because I know this is different for everyone and kind of put you on the spot for your questions, we're also going to kick off our webinar series. Our webinar series will start October 19th, and it's going to run till about December 14th, I believe. What we do is every other week kind of alternate with these webinars, and what we'll do is kind of do an in-depth discussion about a topic. The webinars are free, just like these are, and they're really designed similar to this to really help people with different topics. We used to kind of call them Webinar Wednesday, and people really liked them and enjoyed them, so we're going to try to bring those back again and continue doing that in the future. So look out for those. We'll start posting links to those as we as we get closer to the date. I think our first one's probably going to have some things around Facebook marketing, only because Facebook's been doing all these changes with the timelines and the subscribers and so forth. And I think that's really going to be a good topic to start. But we are taking suggestions, so if there's things that you would like us to talk about, we definitely would love to do that for you. So, looking at time, I didn't see any more questions, so maybe let me pose out a question to you guys. A couple things that I guess I'll throw out there is I see we have a good amount of people actually are listening or watching, but I don't see as many questions being posted. So let's start with maybe some questions about the format. I know this is a little bit different than what we've done before. When I do webinars, normally I'm sharing my screen so you're able to see screenshots and things like that. So maybe if you guys can post just some quick comments there in the Facebook box and let me know if you like this format or if you think this is something we should continue doing. Is this helpful? Have the ways I've answered the questions been helpful? Because it's always great. It's always great to know if we're doing doing what you need. Someone just kind of gave me a buzz and let me know that we do have some commercials streaming in the middle of the video. So that's a feature I'm actually going to work on with Ustream so we can remove that. But I do understand it does seem like we're dropping in and out. So love to get your feedback. Another way you can give me feedback, I know some people are shy and they're not really ready to maybe post things right there in that Facebook block. So you can always send me an email. I'm at Stephanie@VegaMainstream.com, and it's spelled STEPHANIE at VegaMainstream.com, and it's a great way you can shoot me over an email and something that we can resolve. So we have a few minutes left, and I had two more questions that people had submitted in advance, so I'll address those maybe while I'm waiting for you guys to post feedback or anything like that. One thing that constantly comes up, and really one big question that we see over and over and over, is about handling negative comments. Now, when we say negative comments, a lot of times I would say negative comments are really in two buckets, excuse me. And when I say negative, there's two ways. There's some people who are responding maybe negative to something that you did or something that you posted. So that has to do with you. The other, I would say, is someone who's doing something that is maybe negative or not constructive necessarily, and it really has nothing to do with what you've posted, what you've done, or said. They're just some reason having a bad day, and they're all over your site letting everybody know they're having a bad day. The reason I separate these two things out is because one is something that is a little bit more under your control and something that you may want to engage in, where the other one is not necessarily the option to engage in. Or you might want to tread lightly. So let's talk about them maybe in two different thoughts. If you have somebody who's on your site that is actually just either complaining or upset or really just venting, what I normally do, whether it's in comments in a blog post, whether it's on Facebook and Twitter, and even on YouTube, YouTube is notorious for having very aggressive comments on there. And a lot of that's just because people can post anonymously. Facebook tends to be a little bit lighter just because it is very clear on who posts those comments. But what I find is if you have someone like that, what I normally do is address what that person's doing wrong. If you have someone who's cursing, let people know that on your platform you really discourage people from cursing and we don't want to have posts. So please post correctly. If you have people who are attacking other people, address that and say, hey, it's our policy not to really create inner fighting. The idea is we want to have dialogue, we want to have debate, but it has to be constructive and it has to be polite. And we had this challenge, I think it was about a month ago, we had this challenge on our site, so we had to work through that as well. What I normally do is give someone at least one warning. Because sometimes people are having a bad day. Sometimes someone vents and they really didn't mean it to come across the way it did, but for some reason it did. So normally I give them at least one warning. If I see that person posting again, attacking someone again, then we kind of take the level and let people know that if these are our rules, we will republish what we call our rules and regulation, or kind of our rules of engagement on our Facebook page, or what our rules of engagement on our blog and so forth. And by reposting them, we're clearly stating and letting people know what you can and cannot do, or what we really will not approve of, and reasons why someone could get banned. Once we post that, then we give it a little bit of time, depending on how irate a person is, and then we'll actually, if we have to, we will ban somebody. Do not be afraid to ban someone who is overly aggressive on your site. The reason I say that is because that person can make it hard for the rest of your followers. I know it sounds so tough to be like banning or blocking somebody. It sounds aggressive, but imagine that you have fans and followers on your page that have been loyal, that have been posting, and they see that people are being attacked, and they see that you're allowing them to be attacked. Number one, it'll take kind of someone who's maybe a little bit shy and less likely to post will stop posting on your page because they don't want to get attacked. Or what'll happen is people will feel uncomfortable with voicing opinions or bringing up a different perspective. And really what you want to do, or what we try to encourage, is dialogue. So be very careful of letting one person affect the many people who have been supporters, people who have been positive, and people who have supported you all that time. So try that approach. And the other side is if someone is coming after you or really talking to you about something you've done, number one, if it's your fault, if you misposted something, if you had it wrong, if you thought it was one way and now you've changed your mind and reconsidered, apologize right away. Apologize, let people know you changed your point of view, and let them know why. It's very important that you do that right away. I think a lot of times people want to give the reason why you did what you did, or kind of give the excuse side of things. And while the reason is nice, if you made a mistake, you must recognize that you made a mistake, because people need to know that you are willing to you really take responsibility for your actions, and that's number one. So once you've actually apologized for it, the next step is talk about what are you going to do to make changes so it doesn't happen again. So if it's something that inaccurate data was posted, talk about what's going to be your fact check policy. How are you going to make sure that inaccurate information is not posted again? If you had something that you changed your mind about, talk about what and the reasons what changed your mind and why you have a different perspective on it. Now you can give people that background because now you've actually owned up and really taken responsibility for that initial mistake that you've actually made. Okay? And then the other thing is allow people to vent. If you made that mistake, and let people say, oh, I can't believe you did that. Oh, it's a shame. Oh, it's it's crazy. Don't get frustrated with people, because you have to allow them to be disappointed. You have to allow them to reconcile in their mind why that mistake was made, and give them an opportunity to kind of digest everything that happened. Now, I don't mean crawl up into a ball and go into a corner and say, oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. That's not what I'm saying. What I mean is apologize, correct the situation, and then go back to your normal behavior. Go back to posting like you posted before. Go back to putting out blog posts and so forth. And don't be shy. A mistake is a mistake. We're all human. We can make mistakes, and we can also make corrections. So don't let a situation like that keep you from getting out there, keep you from voicing your opinion, and keep you from interacting, because we need your voice out there, especially in the vegan veg community. If we're trying to move this forward and we're trying to get the word out, we need strong, we need loud voices, and we need people who are willing to stand up for what they believe in. So please don't let that discourage you. All right? So that was one of the questions. And then the last thing that someone asked for, or I guess their question is, when is it okay to ask for help? And the way the question was posed to me was, a lot of times if you're seen as the expert in a field, if you're seen as kind of the go-to person, a lot of times people feel like they're in an odd situation where they aren't familiar with something, or they haven't heard about something, or they do have a question because, while it's maybe similar or in their realm, it's not 100% what they do. For example, you may be someone who's a chef, but you may be more on the baking side. So you can make a cake, you can make cookies, you can make brownies, you can make them all. But you're not necessarily a person that makes a casserole. So when people start posting questions and asking questions maybe about on the food cuisine side or dinner entree types of side, you may feel hesitant or strange, kind of saying, well, I'm not sure, or this is how I've approached it, what have other people thought, and so forth. But don't let that keep you from asking for help. It's amazing how much, if you are willing to ask a question, ask for advice, and what I tell a lot of people is post out maybe your initial thoughts. So say you're trying to resolve an issue, or say you're trying to work on a challenge. Maybe let me give you an example for us. Like when someone thinks of us, they think of, okay, we're marketing experts, we should know it all. And there's things that we don't work on right now. Those are not our core projects, and those are not the things that we do day in and day out. However, they may fall in the marketing bucket. An example would be mobile marketing. I do a lot of reading about mobile marketing. I do a lot of research about mobile marketing, but it's not a service that we offer out there to our clients, and it's something that we really position ourselves as experts on. So in some cases, I'd be willing to ask questions. I will ask someone and say, hey, we were thinking about doing a campaign for mobile marketing, specifically at a conference where we're thinking about having people to actually, text their answer to questions at a conference, asking people to sign up for our newsletter at the conference. This was kind of our approach. Has anybody seen it work for them? Has anyone else had an experience with this? And that's a way that I can ask for help without saying, I have no idea what mobile marketing is. That's probably not the best approach, but by letting them know what we're trying to accomplish and what we're trying to do, and then asking if anyone else had a similar experience, if anyone else had a similar, I would say, result, or asking them what their results, is a great way you can ask for help in something that may not be 100% your area of expertise, but something that you can get help with, something that you can do some interaction with your audience, and then also gives your audience an opportunity to shine. Even take myself, every once in a while you'll see me even on the Vegan Mainstream page, I'll post something about a recipe, or I'll ask for a recommendation on substitution products and so forth, because I do a lot of marketing, but I tend to dabble in a little bit of baking and cooking as well, but that's not my core expertise. So what we do is I'll post out a question and say, hey, does anyone have a favorite of this, or what's your recommended XYZ recipe. Last week I was actually doing a pizza, and I asked the people to recommend their favorite pizza crust recipe. So it was a great way for me to interact with people. It was a great way for me to ask for help. So it kind of turned the tides and turned the table, and it allowed really our fans, followers, and people that have supported us over all these years to kind of help us back. And what happens is it creates a different dialogue. It creates a different interaction with the people on your page, because now you've opened an opportunity and created really a chance for them to help you, a chance for them to do something for you. And in some cases, what some people may feel is a return of that gratitude, or the things that maybe you've helped them with or answered questions for them, now they're helping you. So just think of it that way when you think about asking for help or posing questions. It's a great way to interact, and it's a great way to kind of let your guard down so that people can help you for a change, as opposed to maybe all the great help and advice that you've put out there so far. So, looking at the time, I've gotten through most of the questions that were submitted to me, but I'm noticing that we're getting a little bit late on the time, but it looks like everybody's been hanging in there. So, I'm really, really happy and glad that everyone's there. So, once again, I am going to probably wrap up this session. Like I said, I initially was thinking about 9:30ish, so we're a little bit over, so I think it went well. I appreciate all the questions that we've gotten so far. I really am hopeful to find out from people if they like this session, if they'd like to do these Q&As again, if this has been helpful. Once again, shoot me an email at stephanie@veganmainstream.com, because I'd love your feedback, and I'd love ways that we can actually make these better, because the purpose of doing these sessions is really to help. All we want to do is make sure that, while we have our blog, our Twitter, our Facebook account, we really want to make sure that we provide some services like these webinars, like these sessions in our webinars, so that we can reach out and help budding entrepreneurs, vegan professionals, all these amazing vegan bloggers out there, and help you guys get the word out, drive traffic to your site, and get the message out. So anything we can do to continue to help and support you, we'd be happy to do. So once again, thank you so much for your time. I've enjoyed this session. I hope you guys have too, and I will talk to you soon. All right, take care, everyone.